Okay, guys. So I think like half of you know at least. My name is Marius. I work for Intellect as the previous two guys. Through Intellect, I work for Discovery, and today I'm going to talk a bit about Camunda. Just want to make it clear, I'm not affiliated to Camunda in any way. Like, they frown upon it if you pretend to partner with them or anything like that. I'm not affiliated with them in any way. I just like the product. Okay, so I'm just going to give you a little bit of history about myself. I've worked for many, many years. Back in the day, I worked for our company. We wrote a little tool called AnyBench, and it looked a lot like today's workflow tool that I'm going to show you, Camunda. And back in the day, this was all web-based. We did Ajax. Before Ajax wasn't even a thing. And yeah, but already there we made some mistakes. We started with some high-level modules or tasks, whatever you call it. But then quickly we tried to, like, instead of having a SFTP function, we made like a SFTP block. Sounds like a good idea. But eventually what happens, you go down that road. What happens is you do like visual programming is what I call it. You know, so here's just another screenshot of what we did. I thought it was pretty cool back in the day. But yeah, we got a bit sidetracked in making this whole platform cooler and cooler, not necessarily delivering many projects. Anyways, we were young, we were learning. And then at some point, we didn't like the Ajax thing so much, so we moved over to Java Web Start. It was a bit easier to work with. Like still today, I hate JavaScript a bit. But anyway, so it was a bit nicer to work with, but even there again, we delved way too low level. So you can see we built a nice query builder. But anybody knows you can write a query much more concisely in code. Just another screenshot of that. So then, yeah, then I concluded like sort of this whole visual coding thing is a bit of a problem. You build all these tools, and then what could be one line in code is like ends up a whole screen full. So my conclusion is like nothing ever is concise as code. So yeah, then we tried a different route. I'm not going to talk about it too much. We'll build another platform, but in this case, we got the sort of user or more advanced user to sort of script things together. We sort of hide all the logic. A lot of our projects today, we hide all the logic. The BAs sort of have to ask the developers, hey, what does this piece of code do? What does that piece of code do? It can take a lot of resources, and typically the new guy has to go and figure out what the piece of code does. Go on next. Some more screenshots. Yeah, then you can, we did is like you can sort of in a simple scripting language, you can build up a front end. And one of the things I, of course, had to do is I implemented for the first Intellect challenge, the Tronbot one, I implemented the visualizers in this because I can. Anyways, so yeah, I changed companies, and recently, well, not that recently, at Discovery, in the project I work on, we started using a tool called Camunda. So we have other tools in Discovery as well, but I won't be presenting on any of them because they're not so fun to use. But Camunda I actually like a lot. That's why I'm here tonight. It's actually a joy to work with most of the time. Yeah, so a little bit of history. Camunda actually split off Alfresco Activity. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Alfresco Activity. Alfresco is a pretty well-known open source Java company. They've got a lot of products out there. And I don't know where Camunda came from, but they just forked it in 2003. Main reasons were they wanted to focus on standards, different functionality, where the activity guys just wanted to be a little bit a small component inside of the other products. So yeah, just from their website, main point is they want to support platform. They want a platform to implement some standards. A lot of things in the Java world, as you know, evolve around standards, and it helps you if you really want to. You can move from one tool tool to another. So it's quite good in general to implement standards if the standards keep up with you. And then I don't have a slide here, but a lot of big companies, you can see at NASA, and a lot of big companies are using this for business critical process automation. And that's actually the sort of thing we use it to automate some processes. So as far as I can tell, the first released version was in 2014, and they release quite frequently. They make quite nice bug fixes and features that they release. So yeah, they're busy with the 7.9 alpha. We still need to upgrade to 7.8. As you can see here as well, the code is all Apache 2 license, which means it's quite easy for you to use at any client. You don't have to stress too much. You can obviously pay them for support if you need. Okay, so here's the first look at Camunda. It's nice blocks that BAs like to drag around. One of the main reasons at Discovery, or my project where we use it, is we had like a really complicated business process. So you can write like a, I don't know, 2,000 line function if you really want to. But for somebody new comes in to understand what the hell is going on, it's quite hard, especially a BA. So in projects you can have this workflow where you can give this tool, it's like quite small to download and install on the BA's computer. You can say, okay, what you want this process to do. They go draw it up, they give it to you, and then you can go clean it up a bit, and then you can implement each of these tasks one at a time. Also gives good feedback of how far you are with implementing this whole process. They can also tell you which of these blocks are most important. Do that one first. But the sort of cleanups you have to do, for example, you have to define this thing called app, like some name. But if you use, you can use Spring Beans. So this is actually your bean ID that you can tell Camunda, listen, when that block runs, go call this Spring Bean, inject it, inject everything it needs, and call the execute function or method. And that front end it's actually in the back end. If you just click on a different tab here at the bottom, you can actually see the XML. And if you have to, you can hack it a bit. Another thing to note here, so you have your standard BPM model, but then also Camunda have implemented some extensions. I'm trying to find one now. I think, yeah, it's a Camunda extension. So the basics are all standards, and then here and there they have extensions. Trying to see a usage of it. You see any? Yeah, here one. Okay, so if you have to switch to a different system, there's some hope. Don't say it will be easy. They have other support for other type of modeling. Okay, so frameworks, that's also standards, like this is something called case manager, modeling something, I don't know. What? CMA. I can't say that. But yeah. So they don't only support the one framework, they also support this. I haven't used it myself. And then something we have used a little bit is actually decision tables. So this is like a top level, but then each of those blocks expands to a decision table. So I don't know if it scales well enough to replace other popular, I say popular lightly, but like, what's it, FICO? Sorry. I don't know if it scales well enough to replace it or whatever, but all I know is this is a hell of a lot easier to use. And you can also give this to a BA. There's no unfortunately nice import and export that I've seen so far yet. Hopefully it comes at some point where you can import and export to Excel, but for now it's easy enough for a BA just to install it on a computer, change this about, give you the XML to you commit it into Git, and you're off and away. So if you want to actually go and execute it, so you've implemented all the tasks, you need like some engine to actually go and execute it. and they sort of position it as an orchestration engine where like each little block, depends on your architecture, can be a little microservice, and then the blocks actually just visualize how you go in your process. You can do a little bit of like if statements or branching, but as I tried to explain earlier, like please don't write your whole program in a visual programming language. I would just use that for your main execution flows. Okay, so you can actually embed the process engine in your code. So it's a bit hard to see, but for one, it works quite nicely with Spring. And we just basically make a hash map of variables, add some variables, and then we kick off the process. Let me just go back, if I can find that now. When you define your process, if you just click on a background, you can actually modify the ID of the process, and that's the ID the engine will kick off. If you're just going to kick off, for example, app approve invoice, so you can kick off that process just by its ID. And then the variables you can also access just like little scriptlets. You can actually do some checks here. So if balance is greater than 50, you can just do it in a little script. But obviously try to not do too much there. Just maybe keep that for your high-level sort of business decisions that you want maybe the BAs to make. For example, stuff you don't want to go in hard code. So you can put some configuration there. Obviously, there's a balance in everything. Okay. Oops. Fetch up. Okay, yeah, so you can, so a pattern we do is we wrap this whole thing in our own web service, REST endpoint. You'll see now they also provide standard REST endpoints, but we have a bit of a complicated domain to say the least. So we just wrap it in a REST endpoint and then we call it like this. It's quite nice. Camunda is quite small. It's quite lightweight. Doesn't need much resources. It's quite fast. We haven't tested it extensively, but we have other problems, I should say. This is not our bottleneck. And so one pattern we started with is to have like one Oracle database. Camunda likes to have quite a number of tables where it stores, actually when you boot up, it imports that XML and it sticks it in a database. And then when you actually run processes, it uses the version in the database. Now one problem we run into, I don't know if it's the version of the Oracle driver or what, but if we start too many of these, they start to interfere with each other. In theory, that should work flawlessly, but I don't know, as I say, maybe we have like an old driver and everybody's too scared to upgrade. It can be a problem where they interfere with each other. So actually, like as of this week, we just said, okay, screw this, we're just going to stick it into an in-memory database. So each node on the cluster has its own little database, and when it boots up, like for our use case, it's fine. Each one just puts its own version of the process into its own database and use that. I think the reason why they wrote it like that is if maybe over time you do want to support different versions of your process. And so if you add the new version to your code, when it boots up, by default you would use a new version. But say there's a long-running process, maybe you're waiting for some user input or there's some actual physical process with a user needs to do something, then you actually do want the system to be able to recover if your version changes. So in that case, we'll still go with the old process until that's finished, but all new process will be on a new version. So as I said, it's got a nice REST API. It's got a database. Okay, I'm just going to show you a couple of screenshots of an example. This one just boots up, starts a process, and then it actually pretends to action a user action. And then because it's such a small process that it ends. Okay, I'll just show you quick. So just basically how you get Camunda in your project. You add a dependency if you use Spring Boot. Obviously it's a little bit more complicated if you use anything else. You can put your database configurations and whatnot. But in general, it's like quite simple. And then you just actually start your the application. So some more configurations you can see here. They just use an in-memory database. So guy did the in-memory database. He learned the hard way. You have to add this close delay and all those things. Otherwise, Hibernate just close the connection for you, and your whole memory database is gone. Yep. Okay, and here at the bottom you can see this is just a log if you run it. So, yeah, it starts the process, and then you'll see now we action a task, and then it continues with the process. This is all on GitHub. This is on the Camunda GitHub page, and you can see the XML file process. But actually, it's 2018. You can have color coded, but really don't want to look at the XML. Very simple process. You can see there's a user icon, means the user has to do something. Even though the process is started, it will like wait there until something actually happens. And this is called like a service delegate task, I think. So delegate expression. So yeah, again, just your Spring Bean ID. And it will call the execute method on there. It's just the interface you have to implement. Here's an example of a delegate implementation. In this case, obviously, it doesn't do much. But as you can see, it's like super simple. That's what I like about Camunda. It's like super simple, not intrusive. It just works great. You see our main Spring application starts up, then it will actually start this process, and here we say, oh, we actually did that task, and then it continues. Okay, and also testing is quite important. There's some nice like JUnit, can I say helpers, that makes it quite nice to test with JUnit. I like to, like every single branch the process can go into, I like to assert that I can actually force it to go into that branch. It saved us many times. That's it. Any questions?
Do you use any signal events in your processes that you're running?
Like I don't.
Yeah. Oh, not in your current process?
Not in our project. We don't like, so we have got like a different workflow department. They've got their own problems. I've got my own problems. So no, for us, we don't care. Like our sister project, they've got a lot of that where they wait for emails and send mails and go crazy.
The process is getting confused. Is it more in the sister department or is it more in your department?
Like I haven't touched the processes myself. Like the user inputs.
You said the different versions of the processes. Becomes a bit mixed.
Yeah, so that was like a bit of a headache, but I think it's mainly because of like our Oracle driver version or something like that. It's supposed to. All documentation says it works beautifully. We haven't seen that. Okay. So, but this just if you spin up a lot of nodes concurrently, they interfere. Yeah. It's got nice database locking, but something's going missing there. Like the other thing, like we need to upgrade. I think they fixed it in a newer version, but many priorities.
Okay. As you mentioned, you can version these processes. Is it possible to roll out a new version and suck in those new files at runtime? Or do you need to just repeat the questions? Do you need to?
He wants me to repeat it. Yes. Okay, he wants to know, can you post new processes at runtime, or do you have to reboot? I think yes, you can. There's REST endpoints to register. It is all in the database anyways, so I see no reason why you can't. I haven't used that myself. That happens at runtime anyways. So when you boot up, you actually have access to the port where it loads it into the database. So you can, I'm pretty sure you can do it. I haven't tried.